for joining me today. We're going to show you how to use the Easy Precision Piecing products. And so we'll start off with the pressing pin. In it comes empty, and we're going to fill it with the pressing solution. And with the solution here, it's not just a starch, but it's a treatment is what they call it. So it's really great to help us get really flat seams. So I just want to show you how this works. So let's grab a piece here. So when we go to iron, even with steam, when we go to iron, especially cottons, they don't always lay really flat, okay? So if we come over here and take this pressing pin, we'll get some fluid down into it. If you run it along that seam line there, and then we come in and press it, do you see how much flatter that is than when we do it with just a regular iron without it? So look at the difference between the two. Do you see how this is puffy still, where this one is nice and flat? That's what this will do for us. So as we put it across that seam line, it's going to give us a nice good press. So when we go to put it to our next piece, it will lay as perfect as we can get it. The other type of things I like to use this pin for is once we have all of our pieces together and we start doing intersections, a lot of times they don't like to press because of how bulky they are here. So again, we can use this to help. And I've put the product on the outside here, and I've also put the product inside the lines here. And I think it works both ways. Inside works a little bit more, but when you do chain piecing, sometimes it's faster to do it across the back. So you can try it out and see which way works the best for you. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of that across. And as we press, it's going to get that to go really flat for us. And do you see how bulky that was to begin with? And now it is beautiful and nice and pressed. And now we're ready to add our next piece onto it. And it will go together really nicely. The other thing I like to use it for is we use it all the time in Judy Niemeyer paper piecing, especially when we start to do a lot of curves. So you can see here I have this beautiful curve. And again, it's a smaller one and we have a lot of bulk, so it doesn't really want to go this direction. And so again, if we just come in here and press it normal, even if I press it with steam, it just doesn't go down as flat. So you can see it's still not laying, but if we come in here and put a little bit of this pen, we can flatten that right out. Do you see how flat that goes? Now also when we do curves, sometimes we overstretch on the outside, so if it waffles a little bit, I come in here and just add a little bit to that outside edge, and then we can press that. And what it will do is it will suck those bias back in to allow it to be as flat as and back into its shape that we want it to be. But look at that beautiful curve laying really pretty for us. And now we're ready to add the next one. So it's great for cottons. Anytime I work with cottons that don't lay down nice and flat, intersections that are really heavy and bulky, curves that want to lay down. The other is when we have a ton of intersections. So in this case, do you see how we have a lot of intersections coming to this middle? By using this product, we can get it to go down nice and flat in that middle there. So as we flatten that out, it gives us a beautiful piece that even your machine quilters will love you because it's not so bulky in that middle there with all those intersections coming together. So this has been one of our favorite products, especially when working with small piece work. So like this block here, you can see how we have these little tiny 4 patches, but with this product, it really lays down beautifully, and we don't have any waffling or bubbling up onto our piece here. The other part of this program, it was designed to do miniatures. And so one of the other products that's in the starter kit here is a really lightweight glue. So if we were to use this lightweight glue, it's different than any other glue out there in the aspect that we're just going to put little dots in the seam allowance, about every 1/2 inch or so. We don't need a ton. And then once we go, we're going to put it together and match our seams up. And I'm going to kind of push it down so they come together. And then we heat set it. This dries the glue, and we kind of just hold it for 3 to 4 seconds to dry that glue. So now if I pick this up, you can see it's together. So it holds it nice and flat as we go to sew our seam allowance here. And we don't have to have pins, it doesn't shift and waffle. So when we have really small piecework, when we're focusing on getting a good 1/4 inch, this helps us so it doesn't slide around on us. But the nice thing about this is it's so lightweight and easy. If I just peel it, do you see how that comes apart pretty easily? So we can readjust it if we need to, or if you do have a pattern that you do have to open up the seams for some miniatures, they do that still. You can use a pin to run along there and you can still open up your seam. Other glue products out there that we use and love all the time are a little bit stickier, and it's hard to pull them apart like that. But you can see here, it naturally just falls apart once we don't need that hold anymore. And if we want to reposition, we just go ahead and add those dots back again onto it and heat set it so we can get it exactly where we want it to be. And then we'll heat set it to be able to dry that glue. And you can prep a lot of them beside you, and then you're now ready to take this to your sewing machine and we can just sew all the ones that you've prepped. And it just holds nice and beautiful, long enough for you to sew your piecework. So we've also used it sometimes in a little bit of your applique and other type of stuff that you just need a little bit of hold without it shifting on you. So these are the 2 starter packs. So we have one that has the glue, the empty pen, and a 4-ounce solution. We also have the essential pack that just has the pen, the 2-ounce solution, and it comes with 2 replaceable nibs up here. You will eventually go through them depending on how much you use the product. And so those are nice to have on hand to replace. And they're very easy to replace. It's not hard. All you do is you pull this out and you put a new one in. And when you put the new one in, you want to make sure you get it in the middle of this sponge that's in there and don't crinkle that sponge, because that's what allows the product not to spill out of the pen. And then once you have a new one in, you want to prime it and pump it until the liquid comes down to the head, and then you're ready to use again. I hope you enjoyed looking at these beautiful flat products that we love to work with our notions, and I hope that you can take the time to try them out and to use them and to get better results with your blocks. The more that we get things flat, the easier it is to sew our next piece on. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again for joining us.